Get cool stuff for what you were going to do anyway. Drink beer. With Buy Beer, Get Gear from Labatt, you can just snap a photo of your receipt and upload it to the website to rack up points for exclusive merch. Get points for every purchase, whether you're grabbing a pint on draft, a case for a party, or a tall boy at the stadium. Any size, any product, anywhere you buy Labatt. Buy beer, get gear. Sign up now at rewards.labattusa.com.
Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University, this is Newhouse Afternoon.
Happy Monday. I'm Dylan Byer with Alex Pohl, and it's 40 degrees in Syracuse.
It feels like 80.
It feels like
So nice
80.
out.
It's summertime here, and the vibes are high because lacrosse won. Both basketball teams won. We just feel like there should be a parade happening on Marshall Street right now. I mean, vibes are high. We're feeling good. And that is all because, in large part, because we have a #1 team here on the Hill. And that is this Syracuse men's lacrosse team who knocked off the #1 team in the nation on Friday. Maryland went down 11-9. Syracuse's first victory over #1 ranked opponent since 2017. You were at the game. I was at the game, first ever lacrosse game. So fun. What were your thoughts on this? I mean, yes, only won by 2 goals, but I would say this was just a dominating win for Syracuse.
They did such a great, there were so many different areas where they did a great job and other areas to work in. I think it's so excited to have a #1 ranked team on campus, but something that Gary Gate mentioned, Joey Spalina actually interrupted when Gary Gate was asked the question about now going to be ranked #1. It's February.
Doesn't matter.
This season just started.
Yeah.
Like, we are 3 games in. There is so much more lacrosse to play, and they have a packed schedule ahead of them with so many high-ranked opponents. Yes, they're now ranked higher than the rest, but there's so much more that they need to accomplish this season. But what this game does do is prove that they have what it takes.
They do have what it takes, both on the defensive side and the offensive side. Last week, we talked about, we were a little worried about if Joey Spalina could still be the Joey Spalina we know him to be. And I mean, 4 goals will do that for you. Joey Spalina there's no stopping him. Doesn't matter if you're facing Maryland or St. Joseph's. Joey Spalina is that dude. And then defensively, Jimmy McCool with 9 saved. He was unstoppable. So both on the offensive side and the defensive side, Syracuse was just absolutely firing. I would say the only slight negative in this game was, surprisingly, John Mullen went 12 for 24 on faceoffs, so you would have liked to see him maybe be a little more dominant in the faceoffs. But other than that, the Syracuse team really showed why they are the #1 team in the nation.
Yeah, they did such a great job. Like you mentioned with the faceoffs, it was a split game, but I wasn't surprised about that because we did talk about it last week that Maryland also has such a stacked faceoff unit that they have just as good as stats as Johnny Mullen does. So the fact that it was a split job, if you're able to do that against the #1 team in the nation, I think that's an accomplishment enough. I don't think you need to be having 70-80% of them. If you're able to split it and then have the ability to have faith in your offense to take care of it and your defense to make those stops, then having a 50-50 split isn't necessarily a bad thing. Do you want it to be more? Yeah. Why not? But if you're keeping it split, as long as you're not below that, it's still a win in my book.
I agree with you. And what I love to see from this Syracuse team that we didn't see a lot of last year is they trailed 1-0. First goal went to Maryland. But you didn't see that tumble and get into this downhill spiral where they went down 2-0 and then it could have been 3-1. Like, they came firing right back, which is something that is different about this team. They really have the team and the star power to do that. And like we talked about the first week, there are some guys that step up in big moments, and in this game it was Wyatt Hoddle who had 2 goals, one being huge in the second half. What did you see from his game?
I think Wyatt Hoddle is someone that is so overlooked. also because of his height. I mean, there were so many memes and photos going on Instagram when you see him compared to like a 6'4" defenseman or guy in the midfield from Maryland. He's so small, and I think that in some way is why he's so good, is he makes up for it. He doesn't let that be a disadvantage. He's able to duck underneath the defenders, roll around the crease very strong, and is able to slide through the cracks where people sometimes, even in the first game against BU, they left him open right in the middle. That's exactly where he wants to be for an open shot, and he's someone that he's now proving you cannot do that to. He is not someone you can just leave alone or overlook, because he will slip right past you, and because he is also so fast as well.
Yeah. And I would say something I wrote down when I was watching the game is that it's almost like a positive goes right into a negative. You can't have the good without the bad. Syracuse's offense was playing so well in the second quarter that Jimmy McCool didn't face a shot in over 10 minutes. So then I'm sitting there almost like, you got to let Maryland shoot because you don't want him getting rusty. And he let up 2 goals after not facing a shot for over 10 minutes. And that's kind of like, well, it's great that your offense is doing so well, but you always want your goalie to stay in it and to stay in the game. So, I mean, he finished the game with 9 saves, and he made some great saves in the fourth quarter to really keep this team in it. But that was something I noticed. I mean, I don't like to talk negatives, but I just had to bring it up. But the defense looked unstoppable, and this team only had 10 turnovers to Maryland's 14, which is something that we talked about, we saw in the first game. So it just looks like this team is the #1 team in the nation, and I don't see them stopping anytime soon. Now, the question is, coming up on this 6-game road trip, can they keep this how long can you sustain this type of gameplay?
I think that one of the best ways that the way they're going to sustain it is, I think, through the defense. I just need to talk about the fact that Riley Figueres had a phenomenal game.
Again.
We talk about Jimmy McCool keeping them in it, but he doesn't do that without the defenseman in front of him, also with Billy Dwan, and they have Dante Bowen as well. They have so many great defensemen, but you saw time and time again when the clock is running down, when Maryland is trying to put bodies on and aggressively fight to get a shot off, I cannot count how many times myself and the people around me were screaming and chanting for Riley Figueres' name. He was locking everyone down. Even though he's long pole, he had his hands on so many of the balls, physically beating these players down. He played such a physical and aggressive game, and I think that is also partially why Jimmy McCool didn't see many shots in that third quarter, because his defense did such a great job of keeping him from seeing those shots as well. But in order to sustain it on the road, I mean, you're going for 6 games straight. The next time that they're going to actually be in the Dome is March 22nd. That's over a month away. And they've talked about it before, especially Finn Thompson has mentioned it in interviews, how much the home crowd means to them and how many people show up for these games. I mean, it was over 10,000 this past weekend. So without that, that's definitely going to be a big change, but I think that they are strong enough mentally to know how to stay in these games. I don't think being on the road is going to throw them off. They do face tough opponents, and it's honestly mainly Ivy League. So they go from Harvard to Princeton to Penn, and they see Hopkins and Air Force, Denver, and then Georgetown is when they come back into the Dome. So these are not easy games. There are no, quick wash games. These are all going to be tough opponents, but I think that this is something that they can sustain. But 6 games is a lot to be on the road. That's a lot of traveling. You're not necessarily staying all too close, especially going all the way to Colorado. And that's all the way at the end. So that is game 6. This is going to be something that's hard to sustain, and it's going to come down to really locking in when they're back here on campus practicing throughout the week. It's going to be tough for 6 games. I think they can do it, but it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if they slip up on 1.
Right, and that's what we said from the beginning. You'd love to see a team go undefeated and then win the Natty, but is that realistic? Right now, it might be looking like it is, but we said that, sometimes you want a team to lose, to figure out their low points. And I mean, I just don't see this team losing. I think it will be because of the wear down of all of the travel, because it's not like they're going on this road trip and staying away from home. They're coming back and forth for 6 straight weeks. That's a lot. But if there's any team that can do it, it will be this team. We talked so much about the senior squad. That is what this team has going for them. The bulk of this team are your senior leaders. And as much as this game is physical, it's also mental. So your seniors have to step up in this 6-game road trip mentally and convey to the rest of the team that this is going to be a tough mental stretch, and they really need to be leaders down the stretch. But one name that you talked about that I don't think gets enough credit is Dante Bowen. And when I saw him play, he attacks offensive players like I've never seen before. He is so physical, and I think he really creates a spark to Syracuse's defense that is sometimes missing. And to have a guy who transferred in from Ohio State, knows what premier lacrosse looks like, he really is such a key to the Syracuse defense.
He's done a great job with the defense. Like you mentioned, he's very aggressive. So especially when he's taking contact on the ball, he's able to hold his stance steady, and that's something that's so impressive because he doesn't get knocked back or have to take a step back to allow space for an attackman. He gets underneath their hands, and he has thrown so many people down onto the ground in these past few games. He just has the strength and also the stability to do so, which is, he's not some Billy Dwan standing at like 6'4",
right.
But it doesn't matter because he just has the lacrosse knowledge, also an ability to be able to do something like that and knock these offensemen to the ground. Especially Maryland has a lot of very large players on their team, especially on the attack, and he had no struggles facing these guys.
Listen, as good as the matchup was, the jersey matchup was even better. I mean, I was looking at the jerseys, the Maryland blackout and the Syracuse chrome. It looked great. And so just to have a little fun, they're on a 6-game road trip. I went to my first ever lacrosse game, but I have a couple notes I have to say. During the intermissions of the commercial breaks, I think the music needs to be better in the Dome. It was too family friendly, not hype. I was like, why aren't they blasting rock or rap? It was Dua Lipa, and I was like, we need to keep the energy up in here.
Okay, I actually have something to say about that because I did happen to be on the Jumbotron and on, unfortunately, and on the broadcast. But I had someone sitting, it was not because of myself, but I had someone sitting next to me that just loves and somehow manages to be on the dance cam every single time he's ever been to a game, even in professional sports as well. It's absolutely baffling. I mean, the guy can dance, but he was dancing and he was so excited. He was like, guys, just wait. I'm going to be up there. And he was like, I don't even know if I can dance to this. He's like, this is so bad. The music was not where it needed to be.
I would say there was one low point of Friday night. It was that I unfortunately couldn't make it on the dance cam because I didn't feel as though the music was moving enough for me to dance to.
Same. I decided to stay seated the whole time, yet made it up there twice because people next to me somehow managed to find a way to dance to that music, but it wasn't working.
No. Well, speaking of dancing, this women's basketball team might be going to the big dance. We'll talk about both basketball teams right after this.
Thank you very much.
And it was also very funny. I actually quoted her, so Elle Weiser, here's your shout out. After Syracuse scored the first goal, the horn goes off, obviously, blah, blah. She gets so scared. My friend gets so scared.
Oh, gosh.
She goes, does it happen every time after they score? And I was like, yeah.
Doesn't it happen in the football games
I was like,
too?
It's like football. They score a touchdown, the horn goes off. And she's like, I'm just so not used to hearing that sound because we never get those in football. Oh. So I said I would bring it up because that was a great quote. That was a very, very funny sentiment that she said, and she's not a sports watcher, so she wouldn't know. But I was like, you know what, that is true. Because what was the game that we went to? It was an absolute beating. I mean, that's every game last season. But I took her to a game because I was like, you know, it's our senior year. We need to go to one football game, and we didn't.
Did I go to? I did.
Which one did you go to?
I know I went with my parents for Parents Weekend. I genuinely don't remember if I went to any of the other ones. I feel like I did. I must have.
See, now this is my problem.
There's no way I didn't go to any other games.
We went to a lot freshman and sophomore year.
Sophomore year we did.
we went to a lot.
Like the first full half of the season, we were there at all the games. But yeah, oh my gosh, did I go to any football games this season besides with my parents?
I only went to one, to be honest. And see, this is my fear now. I obviously want to go to a basketball game, but I'm supposed to go to UNC this weekend? I mean, listen.
Wait, I actually haven't been to any basketball games this season.
Neither have I. And I'm riding this high. I'll talk about it in a second. I'm riding the high. But, like, it's UNC. And I just want to see. After going to lacrosse, I'm like, now I can only I haven't seen a Syracuse team win in so long. That's so good. Why do I want to, like, upset myself?
I know. I even got a call from my dad the other night. He was watching the Syracuse game, basketball, and he was like, asking about it, and I was like, I'm not gonna lie. I was like, I don't have it on right now. I was like, I'm like really enjoying the movie that I'm watching. He's like, no, it's like, but they're not bad. They're only down by 4. They're it's like, okay. And I was like, wow, like this is terrible. Like I used to really watch like all the games, go to them.
Yep.
I don't know if it's because I'm a senior rich. I don't think that's why, but it's like, it's just sometimes like, especially with, we talked about how nice it is out today, but even then, walking out of my house, the snow was up past my knee. Like, no one shovels properly in so many of these areas. Like, you are trenching through the snow in freezing cold weather. Like, I'm sorry, I don't want to walk all the way to the dome to sit there and watch us get blown out.
I know.
It's just not worth the little track. I'm not doing that.
I know.
But I did watch the... What game did I watch?
See, I'm just so...
we played UNC.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We're playing them again.
Yeah, as you say, that's the game that I watched with Jim Boeheim in the airport.
Oh, yes. Guys, Alex and Jim Boeheim are best friends if you didn't know.
We were on 2 plane rides together within 48 hours, than that. First flight, he sat in front of me to the left. Next flight, he sat directly in front of me. Our flight was delayed for... my gosh, 2 hours? I think it was more than that, 2 hours, because the toilet would not flush on the airplane. And he had some words about it. I mean, I agreed with him. I was backing him. I was like, we can sign a waiver saying we won't go to the bathroom. I'm like, we could take a field trip right now. Like, we're sitting in the airport. We can all go now. It's a 45-minute flight. Like, and our pilot was like, oh, we could be circling for 3 hours. Like, I have to prepare. And he's like, wow, like, Coach Boeheim was like, wow, you really are like worst case scenario. Like you really think I'm gonna circle for 3 hours up in the air? No, we were up, down, didn't even wait to like pull up to a gate. We pulled right up, got off the plane. We were on that plane for less than an hour. And yeah, not very happy with that one.
This is why I drive home.
That's 5 hours.
5 hours? Yeah.
I mean, I drive home too. I drove home for Thanksgiving, drove back. Like I do drive home, but I was going home for like 24 hours.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So to drive 5 hours there, 5 hours back, and it was like snowing bad out that the flights got canceled the day before, so I don't know. Yeah. It's usually easier. It's usually you get to the airport 10 minutes before boarding, up, down, done.
Tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
Welcome back to Newhouse Afternoon. I'm Dylan Byer here with Alex Pohl. And well, just when you want to look away and throw all your jerseys in the trash and call this season over, you can't. Because all of a sudden, Syracuse men's basketball is on a 2-game winning streak. They beat Cal in double overtime and then beat a very good SMU team by 1 point in the Dome. And listen, I'm not saying this team is going to March Madness, and I'm not saying they're going to do anything in the ACC tournament. But what I will say is this team has every reason to call it quits. Every reason for players to just opt out of playing, sit on the bench, but they're not. And that's what I love about this team, and that's what I love about proving all of our haters so wrong, who just love to keep commenting at us on Twitter and Facebook, that this season is not over. And this is the beauty of sports, and this is what I personally love about sports. I'm sorry, I'm an optimist. I'm not a pessimist. But when I say that the season's not over, it's because I have hope, and it's because I know what this team can do. And yes, Adrian Autry might not be the right fit here for seasons to come, but right now, you got him, and you got to work with him. And so going back to this whole Kiyan Anthony situation, because that's where a lot of our hate came from last week on Twitter and Facebook. Because Alex and I do look, because we love to look at it. I know last week we did a whole reading mean tweet segment.
Actually, didn't read it this past week.
Oh, my favorite one from this week, just to mention, was "Dear God, not these two again." We're here again. I'm sorry.
Here, and we're not going anywhere.
We're not going anywhere until we graduate. So maybe once we graduate, you guys will be happy.
3 months, never see us again. Unless you see us on ESPN, which you think we do a great job on.
That's right. Last week, I said that Kiyan Anthony could have been a difference maker in the UVA game. And everyone was like, no, people are sending me his stats. He doesn't do anything, blah, 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 blah. J.J. Starling struggled in this game versus SMU, and Kiyan Anthony comes in and makes 2 major threes in the fourth quarter and gave this team a boost. Kiyan Anthony is a freshman, so he's not going to be a starter, and I'm not saying that he should overtake J.J. Starling, but he is that difference maker, and he is that guy for this Syracuse team. I still don't agree with Adrian Autry benching him last week, because I think that freshmen need to play. The only way that they can get better is by playing. And yes, he's a freshman, so if it was more of a learning thing, I understand it, but where this team's at, I stand by what I said last week. Kiyan Anthony could have been that difference maker in the UVA game, but seeing what I saw from him versus SMU, there is nowhere but up for Kiyan Anthony and this team to go. I'm sorry, I said
Okay,
it.
I think that's the only thing I'm going to agree with here. I don't think that he would have been like the biggest difference maker because, like you said, everyone's sending you his stats. He wasn't playing great. He hadn't been for a couple games straight. And then you're saying, oh, he came back last game versus SMU, made the 2 big threes. Who's to say he would have, like, if we're leaning into, just bear with me, if we're leaning into Adrian Autry's coaching style of saying it's a learning thing, we're going to bench him, and then hopefully he grows and learns from there, well, guess what? It worked. If that was the goal of it, is to bench him, and you're saying, oh, he played phenomenal that game back, he played against SMU, 2 big threes, did a great job, well, that can go off the fact that now something has changed since he's been benched. And I don't think that maybe in the way that he's playing right now and making those big threes, he could have been a difference maker, but the way he was playing at the time and what he was showing, he would not have made that difference. But what I will agree with you on is there is so much more growth for him as a player, and I think he's going to be one of the best players that we have, especially in the past couple years. If he isn't already, he's just not there yet. He's not J.J. Starling. He's not a leader. I'm not saying J.J. Starling's the best leader that they have or that he could be, because I don't think he is. I think he's a phenomenal player, and sometimes he has great games, but I also don't think he has the confidence enough to be a leader, because you see him playing amazing. He misses one shot, misses a second, and then he can't make another because it seems like he's getting all in his head and has no confidence in himself. And where I think that Kiyan Anthony won't have that problem once he becomes a leader of the squad, but he's just not there yet, and I don't think that he would have made all the difference to make it a win.
I agree with you agreeing with me, but I disagree with you disagreeing with me, because when I look at this roster, I don't think Tyler Betsy outperforms Kiyan Anthony. I don't think Sadiq White outperforms Kiyan Anthony. I understand, like I said, benching Kiyan Anthony, fine. Do it for a quarter. Do it for the first half. Not for the full game. I personally just don't understand it. But all credit to Kiyan Anthony for mentally staying tunnel vision, for keep going to the gym, to keep working. He could have given up so easily. So I also think, as much as it speaks to his athletic ability, it speaks to his matureness as a freshman. And yes, he has his dad in his ear saying, this is what you got to go through as a freshman, and because of the way that this team is performing. Now, like I said, we're not going to throw a parade here, for a 2-game winning streak. And Syracuse has Duke tonight, and then they have UNC this weekend. So just as this momentum is starting to grow for this team, all of a sudden, there's like a setback before the games even happen. And I think we're all preparing ourselves to be let down as we have been all season. Do you think there's any shot that Syracuse beats Duke and or UNC this week?
I don't think, and I think maybe.
So you're saying there's a chance.
I don't actually want to say that there is, but I don't want to say that there isn't. Like we've said, they've done great things. It's a matter of if they can all be great at the same time. It's like one person has a good game, but the rest don't. And it's just such a fluctuation with it where they're not consistently playing together and playing well. If they can manage to pull that off, and multiple of them are having a great game. If, J.J. Starling, Nate Kings, Kyan Anthony, Donnie, if a bunch of them really rally together and play a solid game, I think it's possible. But the question is it possible for them to all play well at the same time?
Right, and what they've shown us so far, it's not. And they have these great 2-game stretches, and then all of a sudden they disappear and they shoot 20% from the free throw line, which no one can understand. But what I can say is that through these 2 games, finally, you've seen Donnie Freeman and Nate Kings, who had that game-winning shot with 2 seconds left, finally look consistent, which is what this team has been waiting on. It's just upsetting then when those two are consistent and hot. All of a sudden, J.J. Starling has 4 points in that game and plays 3 minutes in the second half. And J.J. Starling is supposed to be your all-star senior voice of the team. And his name has just gone off of everyone's radar because he hasn't. I mean, you could have told me he transferred and I probably would believe you. No offense to him and how he plays. He's a great player, but just not consistent as people were hoping that he would be for this season.
Well, I think that comes down to what I said before with the confidence with him, because like you said, he does do a great job once in a while, and then he completely disappears off the map, and it's just the inconsistencies with this team, and that's something that they're going to have to figure out at some point, because we see it season and season again. This is like something we've been talking about forever. I think as long as we've been here at the school, when they haven't made a single tournament appearance, is that we get our hopes up for 2 games and then they crash and burn and then they do great and then it's just never consistent. And I think it comes down to the players not being consistently able to also be able to play with each other.
Right, and that goes back to our conversation about this new era of college athletics, which we're going to get into a little later, talking about a search for a new AD and a new chancellor and how that really has to be at the core of their search. But now it's, if this team is moving on from Autry at the end of the season, retaining these players is so important. Getting Kings back and getting Freeman and Anthony back should be at the top of the top besides getting a new coach, because this is your team. And I like that they're playing better at the second half of the season. Forget the record, forget that we're not making anything, maybe. I'll
agree with you on that one.
I personally just love finally how this team looks like they've gelled and they're coming together and they're blocking out all of the noise. And so if you have that culture going into next season under a new head coach that maybe can set these guys up better for success, I am very, very hopeful for the future of Syracuse basketball.
But like you said, it comes down to maintaining those 3 guys are the most important to make sure that they stay here, because you're just going to keep having those problems with NIL and coaches changing and all of this stuff of players transferring schools, and that's where you run into that problem of them not meshing well together and not being consistent on the court and not being able to play together. And that's where those problems come into play. And so if you're able to maintain them, we're now halfway through the season, more than that they're finally able to play better together. If you can hold the 3 of them, then there's a future for this basketball team. But if you can't, it's just going to be starting from scratch all over again, and then with a new head coach. Where if you can pull in a head coach that's going to be able to work with those guys and hold on to them, that's when you're going to actually have something to look forward to.
I agree with you. And circling back to all of our loyal Twitter fans and followers, a lot have No, not that. But on Twitter, after the game, after these 2 games this weekend, a lot of Syracuse fans were upset. They saw the attendance, videos gone viral. Barstool tweeted stuff, ESPN tweeted stuff. Oh, Syracuse basketball just isn't what it used to be. This sucks for the community, for basketball fans around the globe. But there is a basketball team on this campus that is 21-5 and 3rd in the ACC and is probably going to March Madness. But all of you want to turn a blind eye to it. Why? Is it because it's a women's team? I don't know. When we come back, we'll talk more about it. Thank you. This is going to be my favorite segment of the day.
Yeah.
Yes. Because really, I went on Twitter this weekend, and it was just everyone tweeting videos of the dome and how empty it is and how, oh, this sucks. And I get it. Syracuse community members don't want to give their hard-earned money to a basketball game that is not going to be played well. I understand that. But there's a basketball team that is playing absolutely lights out here, and the dome could be packed. So why is no one talking about it? Why aren't we paying attention to it? I know why.
Hey, I mean, the one problem that the men's team has that the women's team doesn't is that free throw percentage.
Yeah.
Crazy the difference. I mean, even in 1, 2, 3, 6 people, more than that, are above a 750 average. Like, you have Layla Filia with 85% of her free throws are made. 83% Dominique Darius.
Free throws
82%
matter.
Sophie Burrows. 75 with Olivia Schmidt, Aurora Almont. I mean, the list keeps going. And then on the men's team, it's like 20%, 30, maybe 50.
It's crazy. And it's just not Syracuse. You saw in that SMU game, it was like, I don't know, under 30 seconds left, and there's an SMU player that misses both free throws. That's why Syracuse won the game. Credit to
No, not you.
Credit to Nate Kings for making that game-winning shot. But SMU missed 2 free throws right before
foot is
that.
rubbing up against the mic of the second microphone.
Sorry,
I was
guys.
like, I know I'm not touching it. And I'm like staring at you.
I
like
know
that.
I'm not touching it.
And I was like, is she hitting it? I'm like, is her hair? No, it's just the second mic.
Someone
down
said in
here.
the comments, thank you for speaking about the women's team. Orange Nations and others hardly talk about them. As a season ticket holder for over 10 years, I am now seeing attendance jump up, which is great. It's cheaper and there's free parking. See, there's so much benefits. Free parking, prices are cheaper, and you get to see a better basketball team.
You see a more entertaining
So,
game.
that's what I'm saying. This is why we're talking about it.
Oh.
As your 2 women radio hosts of Newhouse Afternoon, the only 2, we will bring this up and call it to attention.
2 in the whole week?
Yes. We're the only girls.
That's crazy. And we're on the same show.
And we're seniors.
Well, also, we do have to keep into account that this year it's only 2 hosts per show.
Correct.
Last
and only
year
1
it was
show
3.
per week.
Yeah, 1 show a week, one show.
One show
for
per
the,
day a week. Yeah.
1 show per day a week. There's only 5 shows. There are majority men in our program.
Yes.
And it's only 2 per day. So it's 10 people in the whole week. So it's okay.
It's
Because
okay.
also there are hosts of other shows that both of us have been, I know both of your partners aren't on. Your ex.
No, my
partners, I don't think any of them.
ex-hosts, no, and they were all guys.
Yeah.
I've never worked with a girl.
Oh.
You're my first.
Actually, my first was Madison Palumbo. So, but then I worked with Drew Alba, Milo Hoffman. They have theirs on, I want to say Thursday. So tune in this time on Thursday and you'll hear Drew and Milo, my old co-hosts of Newhouse Afternoon last year. And then I was with Evan Fay and Nico Horning.
Nico.
Nico, you were also with for a semester.
Rest in peace. He's just graduated. He's okay.
Rest in peace. Graduated. Same with Max Gifford, your other ex-host, also graduated. Who was my host on the ACC Network show.
Tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
We are still here on Newhouse Afternoon. I'm Dylan Byer with Alex Pohl. I am not Alex Pohl. We're both blonde and 5'10", so sometimes I get confused. No, I'm Dylan Byer. This is Alex Pohl. Anyways, so we talked a little bit in the break about it, but Syracuse women's basketball is 21-5. They're third in the ACC. They're not nationally ranked yet, which is a little crazy to me because you see who's ranked above them, and they have like 7 or 8 losses, and I just can't understand that. But here's a Syracuse team that's winning. They're going to make it to March Madness, probably, hopefully, is exceeding preseason expectations. So why isn't the dome filled? Why don't we have that culture and vibe? I mean, isn't this what Syracuse has been wanting and waiting for? A basketball team that's finally good and exceeding expectations and Yes, it's because it's women's basketball. I'm not afraid to say it. And it's so sad that we're in a time in college athletics where women's sports are on the rise, because they are.
Especially basketball.
Especially women's basketball. Thank you, Caitlin Clark. Not Angel Reese. Thank you, Caitlin Clark. And you have a community that's built and centered around basketball. Yet they're complaining about, yes, I'm not blind to the fact that men's basketball is a much bigger entity than women's basketball. I understand that.
Correct.
But you have a community like Syracuse, and the dome is, there's a lot of people who go to women's games, but not as much as there should be, especially with how this team is playing right now. So this is almost my urge and my plead to all of the Syracuse basketball fans, or even just the Syracuse residents out there. If you're wanting to see a good basketball team play,
it's the best you're gonna get.
And it's not like you're settling. Like, this is a good team. And it just sucks in a world where people laugh at, like, oh, I'm going to a women's basketball game, and people are like, why would you do that? Like, just because of the sole fact, because they're women, they are producing just as great, and in Syracuse's case, better than the men's team. Significantly better. So it's like, why aren't people going? I don't understand it. It makes me so mad because this is just something as women, both on the broadcasting side and on the athlete side, that we deal with every single day. And I almost want to know people's sentiments out there. Like, why won't you? Someone in our comments on Twitch said that there's free parking for Syracuse women's basketball games, and the tickets are cheaper, and you get to see a better product. So I'm really confused. I'm not confused, but I am confused. But anyways, this women's basketball team looks pretty much unstoppable. Their losses have come to very good ranked teams like number 6 Louisville and UNC and Virginia Tech. They have 3 games left. This team, Felicia Lejette-Jack, has come in, has taken over this program, and we thought that after Daisha Fair left, I think our sophomore year, we didn't know where this program was going, and it has only gone up.
Yeah, I think that was a huge concern. I remember after our sophomore season of Deasia Fair graduating.
Yes.
But she has been with Coach Jack from the time when she was at Buffalo. There was a lot of concern as to what would happen when she leaves. This is actually similar to something I was talking about when we were speaking about men's lacrosse 2 weeks ago, is when you have a star player leave, there's 2 ways it can go. Is your team feels and shows the loss the following season of, we are missing this player, or it just proves how much depth you actually have and how many players have been in the shadows for a while and are ready to step into the light and prove who they are as players and on the court and prove themselves. We saw exactly that when Deasia Fair left this program and graduated and was no longer with us. a record-breaking player. I mean, in the sport of basketball in general, in women's basketball. But there were so many other players that then got the opportunity to take over because she was someone you can't replace with one person. You just can't. Not one person can step in and put up the same stats as she did. Like I said, literally record-breaking stats. So no one player is going to be able to step up, but the fact that they had so many players that were able to fill the certain roles that she had and work together to fill that gap is exactly then a testament to Coach Jack's ability to work with this team and why top players want to come here, want to play for her, and that's what's so strong about this program. And especially when we talk about this basketball men's team potentially having a new coach next season, is who is going to be able to step up and lead them. And that's exactly what Coach Jack has done in so many ways. I mean, you see Uche Izejeh, I mean, she was able to get her to this program. She's gotten so much top talent to come here as well as stay here. And that's a big thing as well. So she just does such a great job, and I love her. Like, I've met her a couple of times. She is the sweetest and so funny, selfless as well. I mean, I was doing sideline at a hockey game, and I was like, oh, can we interview? She was like, I'd rather not. She's like, I'm here just to support the women's hockey team. I don't take any attention away from them. I'm here to support them. They're going to be without a coach soon. Like, she's so considerate of other people as well. And also has been speaking, though, about this. What you were saying from the start is we need a consistent fan base. They are here. They are putting in the work every single day in practice to become a top team, a top program. They're proving it in their stats and in their record this season. They need the fans to back them.
You cannot call yourself a Syracuse basketball fan if you will not support the women's team. Period.
100%.
Stop. And you mentioned Uche. Everyone's saying Kyan Anthony. Yes, great, Kyan Anthony. Uche is also a freshman who, by the way, is averaging 14 points per game and 9 rebounds. You talk about Felicia Jack maintaining a roster. Sophie Burrows came back, and she finished last game with a team-high 19 points and a career-high 16 rebounds, which 8 of those were offensive. So, to everyone out there, support this women's basketball team. And if and when this team makes a run in March Madness, do not jump on that bandwagon and say, oh, yeah, I've been supporting, because you haven't. And we see that in the dome.
Start going to the games now.
Yes.
You have games left this season. You have one more left in the dome this season.
So go.
Watch the next 2 games. Go to the dome on March 1st. It's a Sunday.
Why
at
don't
2
we
p.m.
break?
You might as well enjoy your Sunday afternoon.
Let's just break the attendance record that game. Just
do it.
Just go. So, fans are so important to the game. You guys, we recognize that as fans. You fans know that out there. And why wouldn't you want to support a team that is doing so well, especially in this pivotal time where the AD announced his retirement, and we have a new chancellor coming in. We'll tell you what that means for the future of not only this women's basketball team, but the future of Syracuse athletics when we come back.
Thank you very much. Well, perfect. Sounds
awesome.
Good. But like we were saying, we each went to one football game this season. I haven't gone to any men's basketball games. So we're saying, oh, people need to show up and we're not showing up. I've been to a women's basketball game. I can tell you that much. I have more recently been to a women's basketball game. I've actually been to more women's basketball games the past 2 years than men's basketball games because they're great games. They are so much fun to watch.
This is what truly gets me so aggravated is that you go on Twitter, right? You see all of these videos of an empty dome for a men's basketball game, and then Barstool gets a hold of it, ESPN gets a hold of it, and they're like, oh, Syracuse basketball has completely been ruined. Wildhack has poured all the money into football, the rev sharing model. It's like, hello, women's basketball is the equivalent of men's basketball in terms of revenue sharing. They're just not men. And they're doing just as well. They're not an Olympic sport. Like you can say that like women's track and field, women's hockey. Like I understand why those teams are struggling when it comes to the rev sharing model, but women's basketball, they don't get as much as the men do, but they get more than their other women teams comparisons. And they're performing well. So it just gets me so aggravated when people want to call out John Wildhack and they want to call out the chancellor for doing the wrong thing, when it's like, well, if you actually opened your eyes and broadened your horizons on Syracuse basketball, you'd realize that this is more of like an individual team to player and coach issue than it is a Syracuse basketball brand issue. And the more that the media can expand their horizons to when you think of Syracuse basketball, you think of both men's and women's, the better off everyone will be. And I've said my piece.
And then someone also commented this on Twitch, but the Felicia Leggett Jack show tonight, 7 p.m., and it's live at the Wegmans in DeWitt. You can listen on 97.7, 100.1 ESPN. Tune in. She's amazing. Like, she is, I will say it, my favorite coach on this campus.
More than Gary Gate?
I know, crazy take. She is, though, because of the way that, I am not saying that Gary Gate doesn't do this, but the way that she shows her passion for the sport that people honestly come at her for, and like you talked about at one point, the whole like women are dramatic and the emotions and this and that, which people have complained about her. But no, she shows her emotion so clearly, wears her heart on her sleeve for her players, to fight for her players, to get the fans, to get the recognition that they deserve, which they're not getting. And she fights for them time and time again, and is just such an emotional and showing coach. And also that is why these players stay here. That is why, even Georgia Woolley came and followed her over here. Why so many players stay and play for her. They love her as a coach, as a person. They want to be part of this Syracuse program.
I don't blame them. If I was good at basketball, I'd probably want to come here.
100%.
I mean, listen, I love Gino from UConn. I love him. I don't know if I like the LSU head coach. I love Dawn. Like, she's awesome. But yeah, Felicia Leggett.
I would want to play.
Yes, FLJ's name should
even if
be on
I
her
knew
eyes.
that no matter what program I went to, if I knew for a fact I would sit the bench the entire time, if I was told that, hey, you could play, you could be on the roster of any women's basketball team across the country, just know you're going to be sitting on the bench every single game. You will never touch the court. And so many players would then, still want to play for the number one team.
Noah has a pretty good role.
But some players I know would definitely want to play. If they got to choose any team, you would want to play for a team you think is about to win a national championship, because, hey, you'd still get that ring without ever playing on the court.
And this is
but guess what? I would still choose Syracuse for the fact of playing for her. That is a coach I would be willing to put my blood, sweat, and tears into every practice to work so hard and know I'll never touch the court, because she is worth it as a coach to do that for.
She's awesome.
Borough's Broadcasting Stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
All right, we are back with you for the last 10 minutes. And this is this is the most pivotal time in Syracuse University and Syracuse athletics history. We all know, we all saw last week that John Wildhack announced his retirement after 10 years. We all know the chancellor is going to Michigan. And I don't know if people realize that those two roles work so closely to one another. So whoever comes in as the chancellor and then the AD, athletics has to be at the top of the mind. The first hire is going to be the chancellor, because the chancellor is going to approve the AD hire. And what the chancellor basically does in the role of athletics, for those who don't know, they are the ones who decide basically and sign off on the major coaching contracts. They're the ones that ultimately will influence the conference realignment and the media strategy, which is, Professor Maloney has really ingrained this into my head. But the upcoming media rights, when they set to expire, are going to be so huge for the conferences, which I'll get into a little later. And then the chancellor determines how aggressively we invest in our sports here. So once the chancellor is just as important as the new athletic director in hiring. NIL has to be top of mind. We've said this from the beginning. You really have to find a way to just dump money into this school and then dump it into the athletics program, because Syracuse, their brand is like no other in the nation, and their history is like no other. But that can only get you so far, especially when it comes to this new sports, generation of revenue sharing and media rights. And for those who don't know, in about 2030, it's over a span of like 4 or 5 years, but everyone's media rights are up. So like the Big Tens, the SECs, the ACCs, they have to renegotiate their contract with ESPN and ABC and CBS and all of their affiliates. And that's so pivotal, because what we're going to see and what people think is most likely to happen is that these super conferences are going to be made. So the Big Ten and the SEC are likely to combine, and you see all these conferences combining, and you don't want to be left out of that, because that is where the most money is going to come from, because schools and athletics make the most money off of their broadcasting rights. So for Syracuse, it is so crucial in this time for all your sports to be winning, because you want to be a part of the group when these media rights expire to, oh yeah, we want Syracuse like in our conference. So this is just a crazy time to be talking about college athletics, to be a part of college athletics, but focusing on the new AD. And for those who don't give John Wildhack enough credit and say it's his time to go, I agree that there needs to be some new ideas, but I don't like all this negativity about it. He has done a lot. He was the one who hired Fran Brown and Felicia Leggett-Jack, who we just spent 10 minutes praising. He brought a Syracuse men's soccer national championship. He has done some great things. Come on, I'm trying to be positive. But
hey, that's all you, babe. You can be positive. Love that
you don't. Listen, I'm not saying in the past 3 years he's made the best decisions, maybe, but I think he's put Syracuse in a great position to be great. But now it's his time's done, and it's time for someone to come in and really take Syracuse to the next level.
Correct. I'll agree with that part. I think it is his time, but I'm not going to say that he hasn't accomplished anything. He has accomplished a lot, but I think that with the whole new landscape of college athletics, like you just mentioned, NIL and the media rights and everything, I think it's time that you need a new face here and a new person who's ready to really roll up the sleeves, get their arms ready, and really put the work in to fight for this Syracuse athletics and take it where it needs to go, because there is so much potential to bring us back to the athletic powerhouse that we used to be. Not to say we aren't. Certain sports are doing well. I mean, we talked about #1 in the nation in men's lacrosse right now, but I think that there's a lot that needs to go forward, and I think this is the right time to have someone new in.
Yeah, and so they put out a 7-person group who is going to search for the next AD, and I did some investigative reporting because I'm just like that. And what I found was last July, Heather Lyke was hired as the special advisor to the AD and to the chancellor. Heather Lyke was the previous AD at Pitt and at Eastern Michigan. So I think she is a big name, because it just feels very Syracuse to promote someone in-house rather than to go out and find someone. I'm not saying that's the right decision. I'm just saying that's typically what Syracuse does. And it's just interesting that she was hired as the special advisor role, which isn't really a normal role that you see in the athletic administration. And her resume is just out of this world, unbelievable. She took Pitt to their first ever ACC championship with football. The Olympic sports did great under her. So she is definitely a name that I'd look out for? Is there anyone who you think they should target, who think could?
Yeah, I mean, if they're coming from in-house, 100% Heather Lyke is, I think, who it would be if you're pulling in-house, because she does have the experience. She's now been here for a year, knows what's going on, and like you mentioned, she was the like special advisor to both the AD and the chancellor. Now, at the same time, I think that if they do bring in, you know, new AD, new chancellor, I think that's where she could still thrive in her current role. Is she has been advising both of them, kind of like is like the gap between the two, assisting them both. So now when you get two new ones, she's like, okay guys, this is how it goes. So whether she ends up getting that job, being considered for the job, is up there or not, I think that she has such a strong position and is going to be sort of a difference maker. And once those two roles are decided, of being like, hey, this is how Syracuse athletics works, this is how it's going to go, I think that two of the other names that could be potential is the current AD at Army. I'm gonna butcher his last name, and he's literally Greek, and so am I. This is terrible. But Tom Theodorakis, he is the AD there, played lacrosse here at Syracuse, was on the men's squad from 03 to 06. So he, you know, has some ties to Syracuse. I think he could potentially be a thought, or Dr. Andrew Goodrich, who's the Akron AD, but he was the deputy director here at Syracuse in the past.
Well, we won't have an answer for you today, or probably even next week, but we hope that you tune in next week. We'll have a lot to talk about. I'm Dylan Fire with Alex Pohl. Thank you so much for joining us on Newhouse Afternoon.
This is Orange Nation.